So you've got a principal interview coming up. And maybe this is your first one, or maybe you've been here before. But this time you want to walk in confident, prepared, and ready to shine while in that room. Well, I know where you've been. I've sat in that interview seat, but I've also sat on tons of principal interview panels. So I know what we're looking for. And so in today's episode, we're going to give you 5 strategies that's going to make you shine the next time you're in the interview room. And if you stick around until the end of the episode, we're also going to give you a bonus strategy that's going to help you take it to the absolute next level. So grab your pen, grab your piece of paper, and get ready to take some notes because we're going to get started right now. Hey there, Dr. Gordon Amerson here, Superintendent of Schools and Gallup Certified Strengths Coach. And on this channel, we leverage my experience from classroom teacher all the way to the office of school district superintendent to help you go further, faster in your educational journey. If this is your first time with us, thank you so much for being here and welcome in. While you're here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you don't miss any cool updates or any of our latest content or episodes. So I absolutely love being a school district superintendent. And the only other job I can think of that I enjoyed as much as being a superintendent was being a high school principal. The ability to lead, the ability to have impact across an entire school community, the ability to kind of run your own small city, your own ship with all of the resources available to you to be able to do the great things that you want to do for kids. That's what you get to do in the principalship. And so if you're on that journey, if you're looking to become a principal, if you're looking to take your next principalship responsibility on, this is the episode for you where we're going to unlock a number of different strategies that you can use that are going to help you really shine when you're in the interview process. And most specifically, when you're in that room, on that hot seat, with the pressure of figuring out how do you impress that interview panel in that moment with that 45 minutes, that 60 minutes, or that 75 minutes, whatever time is allotted for you by that organization. I want you to be able to maximize that. And so we're going to jump right in to some key strategies that are going to help you shine in your next principal interview. All right, let's jump right into strategy number 1. And strategy number 1 for your next principal interview is to know the district and the school inside and out. So the key word here that I'm thinking about in this strategy is research. And then when you've done some research, I'm going to stress that you do a little bit more research. Because to be a really deeply prepared candidate, it goes beyond just going on and looking at the school district's website, going on to the organization's website, going on to the school's website. I'm talking about going deep. I'm talking about reading the actual LCAP. I'm talking about reading the single plans for student achievement. I'm talking about watching, as a principal, I'm talking about watching school board meetings. I'm talking about going really deep and understanding the nuanced differences that happen in this particular district. And how do you learn those things? Well, you go into those anchor documents like the LCAP, the single plan for student achievement. You go deeply into listening to and watching board meetings, looking at board agendas. So you really know what kind of the heart and the soul and the way that this particular district or this particular school really operates and how they really function. And so knowing your school and district inside and out is going to give you a leg up, because then as you've done that research and then you start to sit in that interview and you start to get to some of the scenario-based questions, you start to get into some of the specifics that you're going to want to be able to showcase and highlight what you know and what you've analyzed and what you've incorporated into your thinking and your experience. You're going to be able to draw on those things. And the way you'll be able to do that is by having spent time really deeply immersed in that information. It is not uncommon in my own preparation and my own experience to watch 10, 20, 30, 40 hours of board meetings whether it's listening to board meeting audio, whether it's watching their videos on YouTube or some other way that they may be streaming. But that's how you're going to get to know the heartbeat of the organization. It's just putting in the time and the effort, right? It's just spending time that will be critically important. So knowing the district in and out and going above and beyond looking at just the website is strategy number 1. Do your research. All right, let's talk about strategy number 2. And strategy number 2 for your next principal interview is to own your leadership story and your leadership brand. So when I think about who we are as leaders, our leadership story, our brand, who we are, what we bring to the table, our skills, our knowledge, our experience, our attributes, our talents, those are things that you're going to want to showcase and highlight during your interview, because I'm thinking about questions like, who are you as a leader? What's your leadership philosophy? What's your signature strength? Because I believe you're going to need to be able to articulate these things clearly and consistently throughout the interview, but also throughout your leadership time with the organization. Because these types of things, what your style is, what your strengths are, these are things that are going to repeat themselves, and they're going to come back to you over and over and over when you are in the middle of a tough or a challenging circumstance, leaning on who you are as a leader, your core, your beliefs, your strengths, your talents. These are going to be important for you to articulate and to share with the panel early on in the process, because this is who you are in your calling card. So you want to find ways to share that. So when I think about maybe a sample response to a question around who are you, what do you bring? So you want to think about how you craft a 30-second leadership brand story. And it can sound a little something like this. At my core, I'm a leader who believes in building a culture of trust, instructional excellence, and data-driven decision-making. Because I choose to lead with integrity, I want to always communicate transparently, and most importantly, I want to empower my teachers to drive student success. So that's an example of how you, in a nice, tight, kind of packaged 20 seconds, who you are, your brand statement, your leadership brand statement. In that 20 to 30 seconds, you want to articulate your big vision about who you are, what you believe, and why it's going to help the students and staff in that particular school community. Because your leadership brand has to have a large impact. We want to hire principals who can move schools. We want to hire principals who can motivate staff, inspire a community, and absolutely inspire students to go above and beyond. That's the type of leader that we're looking for. So you've got to be able to showcase and highlight what your brand is and how you can make those things a reality for your school community. So your leadership brand and your leadership story, strategy number 2. So as we move into strategy number 3 really moves us into what we call the middle game of a chess match. And if you want more information, we've got a mini course on leadership interviews. We'll put a link to the description below. But in the middle game of chess, there is this move, counter move, move, counter move. So if you think about strategy 3, and strategy 3 is being able to deal with situational and behavioral based questions. So thinking about that. So let's just walk through an example. And for this example, we're going to use some visuals so that way it's easy to track and follow. So the very first thing is, here's the question or the challenge that you might get during an interview. Tell us about a time that you had to address a conflict between staff members, and how did you handle it? So now, you had no idea that was going to be a question, but that's a very good question, because one of your key responsibilities as a principal is going to be to be able to lead and manage a staff. And staff members will sometimes have professional disagreements. So what is the framework we want to use to be able to tackle questions like that? We use the STAR framework, and the STAR framework is identified as situation, task, action, result. Let's walk through that with respect to this example of two staff members who are in a disagreement. So the very first thing is the situation. Here's your potential response. At my previous school, two veteran teachers had an ongoing conflict over curriculum alignment. Their disagreement was creating tension in the department and during the meetings, and it was affecting team morale. Now, you've just laid out in a very, very clear, succinct way, here's the situation. Now, let's talk about the task. The task, as an instructional leader, I needed to de-escalate the conflict, foster collaboration, and ensure that there was a unified approach to the curriculum implementation. And the reason we want that task and the reason we want that unified implementation is because if it's the right instructional implementation and it's the best thing for students, we do want coherence. We want alignment. We want our teachers to be on the same page because we're trying to create great results for all of our students. So we've got the situation, we've got the task. Let's talk about the action. And the action in this response is, first, I met with each teacher individually to understand their perspectives and their concerns. Next, I facilitated a structured mediation session, setting norms for professional dialogue and focusing on common goals. I also introduced co-planning where they could collaborate on unit planning with clear expectations and accountability back to me. So now, situation, task, and action. And most importantly, at the end, what about the results? And the results could be, within a month, their working relationship, it improved, and they developed shared lessons that they could both work from. More importantly, department-wide collaboration increased because other teachers saw a model for conflict resolution in action. And then ultimately, most importantly, student performance improved as the curriculum became more consistent across our classrooms. That is a great response to a situational or behavioral type question. And you're going to get a series of those. But if you can apply the STAR framework to those types of questions, you have a very specific and a very solid way to answer complex questions, but give a deep and comprehensive response. So use the STAR framework for situational and behavioral based questions, and that is strategy number 3. All right, let's talk about strategy number 4. And strategy number 4 is one that you don't want to miss out on. Do not make this mistake in your interview. So strategy number 4 is to prepare thoughtful, strategic questions. The biggest mistake I believe that candidates make during an interview, whether it's for a principalship, director, teacher, superintendent, the biggest mistake I think people make is not preparing some strategic questions. Don't give up the opportunity to connect and ask a question that will leave them thinking, wow, this person is really interested in knowing more about us. This person is really interested, or this person has really done some research and asked some really thought-provoking questions. Wow, this person is very professionally prepared by coming with a set of questions that are relevant, that are rigorous, that are thought-provoking. These are all good things that you want to leave the panel thinking about when you exit from the room. So don't give up that ground and say things like, oh, I don't have any questions, or no, I've taken up enough of your time. They are there. We are there for that express purpose, to connect with you, to find the absolute best candidates. Don't cede that ground. Don't give up that space. So let me give you a couple of examples of what you could give as a potential strategic question. One could be, what are the top 3 leadership priorities for this role in the first year? As a new principal, in this particular district as a new principal in this organization, what are the top 3 leadership priorities that you all have? That would be a really good question. And then see how that aligns with who you are. See how that aligns with what their vision is. Right? Another question could be, how does the district support new principals in their transition? What does that onboarding program look like? What does mentorship look like? What types of supports will be there? How will I know that I can be successful as a new principal in the organization? Really good, thoughtful questions that show that you care and that you're professionally prepared. All right. So don't cede that ground. Make sure you have prepared strategic questions, and that is strategy number 4. All right. Before we move to strategy number 5, go to the pinned comments below, and in the pinned comments below, we have a free gift for you, and it will give you tips and resources and strategies and frameworks to help you prepare for your next leadership interview. Go to that pinned comment below, and let's move on to strategy number 5. All right, let's talk about strategy number 5. And strategy number 5 is close strong and leave an impression. Listen, the last 2 minutes of your interview can make or break the entire interview. Do not spend 58 minutes doing a great job of impressing the interview panel just to mess it up in the last 2 minutes. Leave a strong impression. And there are a couple of different ways that you can do this. And so let's walk through some examples, again, with some visuals that could help you in this case. So the very first thing you can do if you want to leave that strong impression, the very first thing you can do is to reaffirm your excitement. You can say something like, I'm genuinely excited about the possibility of leading here. Give them something that they can feel a sense of excitement about you and you as a candidate. Give them that feeling. That's a powerful thing to leave them with that. A second example of something you could do is to summarize your value. In summarizing your value, you could sound like, I bring a proven track record of instructional leadership, team building, and community engagement. A track record, value, expertise, gravitas. Showing that, demonstrating that is another powerful tool that can leave that solid impression. And then a third example of how you can leave that impression would be expressing gratitude and confidence. And that could sound something like, thank you for your time, and I look forward to the possibility of contributing to this school's success. Short, elegant, to the point, and that could resonate as well. What I would challenge you to do is during the course of the entire interview is getting a sense of what the feel of that panel is and which of those strategies is going to resonate the most. Do they need to feel excited? Do they need you to validate and remind them of what you bring to the table? Or do they just need you to recognize, thank them, and show some genuine connection to them and genuine appreciation for their time? You have to get the feel for that, and you'll get the feel for that throughout the interview process. And then you deploy one of those strategies as you see fit. But don't give up the opportunity in those last 2 minutes to leave an impression. And that is strategy number 5. All right, so there you have it. 5 strategies that will help you go above and beyond in your next principal interview. So if you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for being here. And let's give you a bonus strategy. Some additional things that you can do that will help you go even further in this next interview that you have. So let's talk about how you truly connect with the interview panel. There's a few different things that you can do to really stay authentically connected and engaged with the panel during the course of the interview. And so one of the most powerful strategies that you can use is what we call mirroring. So you would mirror the panel's language. And the way that you do that is that you subtly mirror the words that you hear the panel choose to use. But you find unique and interesting and subtle ways to do it. So let me give you some examples of how you can do that. So the first thing you want to do is you want to actively listen. So you want to listen closely to the phrasing that the panel uses when they are introducing questions. So listening actively and getting a keen sense of what type of phraseologies, what type of terminologies, what type of verbiage are they using. And then once you are listening and once you've kind of got that, then the second thing you want to do is you want to echo key phrases. So if you hear a panel member say, "We value collaborative leadership," you could respond with, "Collaboration is at the core one of my strong suits and one of the tools that I use most actively in my leadership style." So you've listened, you heard a key phrase, and then you use that key phrase in your response as a way to anchor back to that panel member and anchor back to the panel the things that they've already told you are important to them. Through that active listening, you will hear the key phrases that are most important, and then you take and you subtly use those and weave those into your responses, tied to your experience, tied to where you can give examples on, tied to where you can make concrete connections. We want it to be authentic, right? That's important, but you find ways to subtly do that. And then the other thing that you want to make sure that you do is what we would call match their energy and their engagement. If you've got a panel who's giving lots of nonverbals, lots of affirmations, lots of smiles, lots of leaning in, giving lots of positive nonverbal cues, match that energy. If they are more subdued and much more professional and much more measured, then stay much more measured, stay much more professional, and stay much more subdued. But understanding how to mirror what the panel is doing, what they are saying, and how they are behaving is a way to stay actively connected with the panel. That is a powerful strategy. It takes some practice. It takes some getting used to. It takes some skill. But if you can master that, you could do great things in the interview room, which translates into getting great opportunities in your career and in your career trajectory. So don't take for granted using a strategy like this. So finding ways to truly connect with the interview panel is your bonus strategy. So share with us in the comments below, what is the number one takeaway that you had from this episode today? What's resonating with you? What's connecting with you? What do you want to use, work on, or deploy, or incorporate as soon as possible? Share that with us in the comments below so we can get that feedback from you and may build on some new ideas for new content, new episodes that we can put together for you, so that way you can be successful in your leadership journey. That is why we are here, to help you along the way. And if you want more information about leadership interviews, leading as a principal, you can check out this next episode right here. If you want to get more information about our newsletter, mentoring, coaching, support, any of those things, you can check the description below. We're continuing to build this community, build this channel. Hopefully within just the next week or two, we'll hit 5,000 members of this community on this channel. And so we're so excited and we're so thankful for you to be on this journey with me and on this journey as we're just trying to build the next generation of educational leaders, educators, professionals. So thank you so much for everything that you've done to help us grow along the way. So we're going to continue to move forward, continue to grow. If you've been with us to this point in the episode, thank you so much for staying around. Again, if you like the episode, or you like the content, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with a friend, share it with 10 friends, so that way we can continue to grow the channel and the community. And until we see you on our next episode, as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and be well. And we'll see you real soon. Thanks, everyone.